The Bible holds fascinating histories about the origin of all human race. Today, we will explore a compelling and often lesser-known topic, the Bible and the history of the origin of the African people. The Bible is a sacred book that has influenced cultures and religions for millennia, but few people know that it contains important information about the origin of the African people. Let's dive into the sacred scriptures, unravel lesser-known facts, and learn about the biblical ancestors of Black and African peoples. The African peoples in the Bible. Remember that the people of Israel lived in Africa for a long time as slaves in Egypt. The Black peoples, one of the largest ethnic groups in the world, have a rich history documented even in the sacred scriptures. Surprisingly, the Bible talks about the origins of the African people, including their melaninated kings and queens. According to the sacred scriptures, all current peoples are descendants of Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. This also applies to Blacks and other dark-skinned ethnic groups whose lineage originated from Ham, one of Noah's sons. Ham is the brother of Shem and Japheth, who respectively represent the Semitic peoples like Arabs, Jews, and Syrians, and the European and Asian peoples. The term Hamite originally referred to people descended from Ham or Canaan, one of Noah's sons. According to the Bible, after the flood, Noah and his 3 sons were tasked with continuing Adam's lineage and their father's descendants, with only 8 people: Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and 3 daughters-in-law. Humanity needed to start anew. Ham, Noah's son, is recognized as the ancestor of African and Black peoples in the Bible. His name is often associated with Africa, and indeed, the Book of Psalms depicts him as the ancestor of the ancient Egyptians. Interestingly, in ancient times, rabbinic traditions, ancient tales of the Jewish people, and other ancient traditions always identified him as the ancestor of African peoples. Furthermore, all interpretations of Ham's children point to African countries and regions and their peoples. Interestingly, Ham's name in Hebrew, Aramaic, and other ancient languages means burned or dark, referring to the skin tone of his descendants. In Genesis 10, between verses 6 and 4, more information about Ham's lineage, also known as the Hamitic peoples, can be obtained. The text presents Ham's descendants: Cush, the father of various African nations, and Mizraim, the father of the ancient Egyptians. Interestingly, Ham's name in Hebrew, Aramaic, and other ancient languages means burned or dark, referring to the skin tone of his descendants. In Genesis 10, between verses 6 and 4, more information about Ham's lineage, also known as the Hamitic peoples, can be obtained. The sons of Cush include Havilah, Sabda, Rama, Sabtika, and Nimrod. In the early days of his reign, Babel, among other cities, was part of his domain. Nimrod, who was an ancestor of the native peoples of ancient Babylonia and the Sumerians, ventured into Assyria, where he founded 2 or 3 cities. Additionally, Mizraim was the ancestor of the Ludim, who are North African peoples like the Anamim, Lahabim, Naphtuhim, Pathrusim, Casluhim, and Caphtorim, from whom the Philistines and the Caphtorim descended. Mizraim, the firstborn son of Ham, gave rise to many nations and peoples, including the Ethiopian people. All Ethiopians descend from Cush, as well as the inhabitants of Nubia, known in ancient times as the Kingdom of Cush. These are the main nations and peoples generated by Cush, Ham's son, the first son of Ham. They are not limited to Cush and Nubia, including the Kingdom of Cush, the Kingdom of Nubia, and the ancient Saman. Nimrod, the rebellious son of Cush, is considered the progenitor of the Samaritan people. Furthermore, it is believed that the peoples of southern India, including the natives of the region, are descendants of Cush, as well as many other Africans such as Malians, Atlanteans, Kenyans, Congolese, and Bantu from Gabon. The term Cush is often associated with Ethiopia and Africa in the Bible, and its literal meaning is Ethiopia or black. Cush was also the father of Canaan and Mizraim, or Misraim. Misraim is considered the ancestor of the ancient Egyptians and many peoples of North Africa, including the Berbers and the dark-skinned Tegs. It is fascinating to note that all Semitic peoples, such as Arameans, Arabs, and Israelites, refer to Egypt as Misraim. This designation is used in various ancient languages like Aramaic, Arabic, and Hebrew. We know that Ham is the ancestor of all African and South Indian peoples, and he lived a very long life because he was born before the flood. He enjoyed a much longer life, being able to witness up to the 5th and 6th generations of his family and ancestry. Interestingly, just like Shem lived about 600 years, Ham also lived around that age or even more. Although there is no precise confirmation of how many years he lived since the biblical texts do not mention it, it is presumable that he reached the 600-year mark like his brother. It is not known for certain where Ham's tomb is located, but according to some theories and studies, it may be in the Ethiopian region or even in Nubia. Others claim that he is buried in Mesopotamia in the land of the Saman. However, many agree that Ham's tomb is in Africa, specifically in Sudan or Ethiopia. Some even suggest that he could be buried in Egypt, which is quite intriguing and interesting, since Egypt is a country full of mysteries, and people buried 3,000 or 4,000 years ago are constantly being discovered. The Book of Jubilees provides us with more information about Ham's old age and events involving Noah's family and the three lineages: Ham's lineage, Shem's lineage, and Japheth's lineage. This ancient Jewish manuscript, believed to be true in the time of Christ and even before, reports that Ham completely disapproved of his youngest son Canaan's decision to dwell in the land of Shem, which is now known as Israel. Canaan did not agree with his son Canaan's attitude of taking those lands for himself.